I knew meeting her mother would be dangerous. I just didn't know it would redefine my future in a single sentence. The planet Lasara orbited a pale blue star, its continents stitched together by luminous rivers and cities grown rather than built. To humans, it was a diplomatic triumph, proof that peaceful coexistence between species was possible. To the Lasari, it was simply home. I had been stationed there for almost a year as a xenocultural analyst. My job was to observe, document, and advise. Never interfere. Never attach. Never fall in love. I failed spectacularly at the last rule. Her name was Salith. She wasn't royalty, at least not openly. She worked as a planetary archivist, cataloging ancestral memory crystals and translating them for off-world scholars like me. She was patient with my endless questions, amused by my clumsy attempts to pronounce Lasari tonal language, and endlessly curious about Earth's strange habit of romanticizing the stars. Our friendship grew quietly, then dangerously. On Lasara, partnerships weren't casual things. Bonds were communal, cultural, and deeply intertwined with lineage. Interspecies relationships were rare, not forbidden, but complicated. We kept our bond private. Until the invitation arrived. You are requested to attend the house gathering. The message read, "The Matriarch wishes to meet you." Salith went pale when she read it. "My mother does not invite," she said softly. "She decides." That should have been my cue to leave the planet. Instead, I followed her home. The House of Virlin stood at the edge of a bioluminescent forest, its living walls pulsing gently with each step we took closer. The structure felt aware, watchful. Lasari homes were partially sentient, bonded to the family line. The doors opened before we touched them. Inside, the air was warm and heavy with scent, spice, mineral, something faintly electric. At the center of the great chamber stood her mother, Matriarch Virlin. She was taller than Salith, her form elongated and elegant, her silver-violet skin marked with faint fractal patterns that glowed softly. Her eyes were ancient, not old, ancient. She looked at me once, just once, and in that moment, I felt stripped of every pretense, every lie I'd ever told myself. "So," she said, her voice resonating through the chamber, "this is the human." I bowed instinctively. "I am honored to meet you, Matriarch." She didn't respond to the gesture. Instead, she circled me slowly, her gaze sharp and invasive, not cruel, but precise. Like a scientist studying an anomaly. "You are fragile," she said. "Short-lived. Emotion-driven." I swallowed. "Yes." Salith bristled beside me. "Mother." The matriarch raised a hand. "You love my daughter," she said, stating it as fact. I didn't deny it. "Yes." The word echoed in the chamber. Silence followed. Then the matriarch stopped in front of me, looked me directly in the eyes, and said the sentence that shattered every expectation I had. "I want you to marry my daughter." The world tilted. Salith gasped. "Mother, you can't." "You will be silent," the matriarch said calmly. I struggled to speak. "With respect, matriarch, this isn't optional," she finished. "Correct." My heart hammered. "Why?" She studied me again, deeper this time. "Because our line is fracturing," she said. "And because you are not what you appear." They didn't imprison me. They evaluated me. Over the next 3 days, I was subjected to rituals disguised as conversations, tests framed as hospitality. Elders spoke with me. Scholars questioned me. The living house observed my emotional responses, recording subtle shifts in bioresonance. Finally, the matriarch summoned me alone. "Our species is declining," she said. "Not in number, but in adaptability. We have become static. And marrying me fixes that." I asked. No, she said. But loving my daughter already has. She explained that Lasari bonds weren't merely emotional. They were biological and cultural feedback loops. Salith's bond with me had altered her resonance, made her more flexible, more creative, more alive. Our future matriarchs must evolve, Virlin said. Your presence accelerates that. I clenched my fists. You're treating me like a genetic tool. She didn't deny it. Yet you care for her, she said, which makes you dangerous. To her? To us, she replied, because you introduced choice. The marriage wasn't about love. It was about survival. I sought Salith that night, finding her in the memory gardens, light orbs drifting around her like stars caught in slow orbit. I don't want this, she said before I could speak. Not like this. Neither do I said. But if we refuse, she whispered, my mother will find another way, another match, another future. I took her hands. Do you want to marry me? She hesitated, then nodded. Yes, she said, but only if it's ours, not hers. The ceremony was scheduled under the twin moons. The matriarch presided, her presence dominating the gathering. Representatives from multiple houses attended, along with diplomatic observers who had no idea they were witnessing something unprecedented. Before the vows, the matriarch addressed me. You may still refuse, she said, but understand, doing so will sever your bond permanently. I looked at Salith. Then I surprised everyone, including myself. I accept the marriage, I said, on one condition. A ripple of shock passed through the elders. The matriarch narrowed her eyes. You presume much. I presume nothing, I replied. But if I am to stand beside your daughter, it will not be as a resource. I turned to the crowd. This bond will not belong to the house, or the line, or the future you predict. It will belong to us. Silence pressed down hard. Finally, the matriarch laughed. A single, sharp sound. You truly are dangerous, she said. Very well. She raised her hands. Let the bond be mutual. The living house pulsed brighter. The vows were spoken, not in command, but in promise. When the bond sealed, the air itself seemed to breathe. The aftermath was not easy. Some houses withdrew support. Others watched cautiously. The matriarch's authority wavered, for the first time in centuries. But something unexpected happened. Change spread. Younger Lasari questioned traditions. Cross-species unions were debated openly. The House of Virlin became a center of cultural reform rather than rigid preservation. And the matriarch? She watched us closely. One evening, long after the ceremonies had ended, she summoned me again. You did not submit, she said. You reshaped the demand. I couldn't do otherwise, I replied. She nodded slowly. Then perhaps, she said, this was the outcome I hoped for, even if I could not admit it. She looked toward the stars. The future cannot be commanded, she said. It must be invited. Years later, when people ask how human influence changed Lasara, they speak of treaties and reforms. But I know the truth. It began with a demand I never expected, and a choice I refused to surrender.